Hello, this is part 2 of our using a calculator to create a histogram guided notes, and we have in video 1 learned how to create the calculator version of a histogram, and I left over to the right side of the board the steps to do that, where you enter your data, sort your data, turn on your stat plot, choose histogram, do a zoom 9, and then press trace to be able to get your boundaries and your frequency from your histogram. In this part 2, I'm going to continue on the same guided notes that we're using percentage of residents age 65 or older in each of the 50 states. I have data already entered into my stat edit, and I have sorted the values accordingly. Okay, so for this particular problem, what we want to do is, it says create a frequency table with 14 classes. Okay, so when I go to customize, I'm going to call this customize, because we want to tell the calculator what we want. We want our version of the histogram, not the calculator's version. Okay, calculator decided, now we decide. All right, so in this problem, we want 14 classes. Kind of crazy. I think I'm trying to show you some more details here. All right, so step 1 is you need to find the width for this new histogram. So to do that, remember width is max minus min divided by the number of classes required. So for our problem, if you were to look there, the minimum value is 5.5. and I believe the max value on this one is 18.3. Just double check quick. Yep, it is in fact 18.3. And we will divide by 14 because that's what was given in my directions, 14 classes. So when I divide this, I get 0.914. Widths always round up. Round up. Get on your horse, round that up, and we have a width of 1. Okay, so from there, we are able to set the table. We can do our limits over here. Okay, so our width is 1, and we can do limits. Okay, so recall when we do that, we are going to start with the smallest number in your data set, which is 5.5. We will add 1 to generate your lower class limits. Okay, and this is a bit of writer's cramp, but we can get all the way down through here. Increase the number of classes so that we could see some more detail, but in doing so it gave us a little bit of extra writing here. And 18.5. Okay, now since we have some decimals to deal with, instead of being a gap of one whole value back to here, we're going to actually be one smaller in the tenths place. So we're going to go on this side at 6.4. It will run those same limits down this side. So 7, 4, 8, 4, and so forth. Okay, and you always want to do this part first before you do any other work on the calculator. You have to set your limits. Try to write fast for you. Okay, so there's our class limits. Now, in order to set up our graph, okay, all right, so in order to set up our graph, we're going to have to use, again, our stat plot, okay, and we're going to end up with that turned on like we did previously, okay. However, this time, in fact, I'll shut this off for just a minute, this time, we want to be able to set this across here from our min to our max. So knowing there's boundaries across on that x-axis, what we have to first do is figure out the boundary number for the minimum, so the smallest boundary and the largest boundary, okay? So if this is 5.5, the boundary value would be 5.45. So we're 500 smaller. The bottom down here, 19.4, the boundary would become 19.45. Okay, I may have fallen off the video there. So 19.45 for the highest, this is the max boundary. Okay, and up here, 5.45 is the lowest boundary. Okay, so on your notes you'll see, it says, let me get this out of the way here. Okay, it says you need to find the x-min. Okay, x-min is that lowest boundary, 5.45. The x-max is the highest boundary down there at the bottom, 19.45. And then the last part is the x-scale. That's going to be whatever the width is. Okay, so in this problem it's going to be a 1. Okay, so we want to change from calculator version to this customized. We want to change what it looks like, where you're looking. So that's called the window. There's a button on your calculator. It says window. We want to go in and make these 3 changes to make this customization happen. Okay, so I'm going to come back up here to the calculator. Okay, you'll see the button that says window is right next to the y equals. Okay, and I'm checking again. I have my histogram turned on and I'm referencing L1. Okay, so we're going to push window. We're going to change the x-min to 5.45, the x-max to 19.45, and change the scale to 1. That's the only 3 changes I'm going to do. Then I'm going to press graph. Okay, so once I make these changes, so this is kind of step 2. Step 3 is to press the button that says graph. And then while you're there, you might as well push trace. Okay, so we have graph and then trace. Okay, and sure enough, our min-max values here will follow what the boundaries will be for these limits. Okay, and that should be the case all the way across. Now, the reason it's cool to customize is because of this friend down here, the frequency, which I talked about in the last video. So now you don't have to go through your list and count everything anymore. You can use this to generate your frequencies. So like in this first class, the frequency is a 1. Okay, if you go across again, you have a couple of zeros. I need to bring this up here with me because it'll make you dizzy watching me run back and forth. All right, so a 0, another 0, looks like a 1, and so forth. You can go right across, fill in the frequency for the given class. 4, 11, 15, 10, and so forth. 2, another 2, we're going out of room, 0, 1, and a 0 in that last class. And if we add those up, we should certainly end up with 50 data points. Okay, and then from here you would be able to draw a sketch of this down at the bottom of your worksheet. Okay, and again, you're just going to go across here. This would be like 5.45, 6.45. Looks like I got off here a little bit, and so forth. Just going all the way across here. Here, here, and so forth. Okay, and you can draw a picture on your own paper there. Bell-shaped again, or symmetric. I think this is a nicer graph because you have more details and you can be certain of your shape. It might also indicate, as we get forward thinking, that a value out here to the far left or something out here to the far right that is away from the main cluster. We'll talk about those as outliers, and they're involved as well. Okay, so again, this is how to customize your histogram based on how many classes you want to explore. Okay, the steps again: find the width. Okay, be sure you round up. Figure out or set your table. That's the second thing. Generate your limits. You got to have those to be able to figure out your x-min, your x-max, so that these are boundary numbers. They will not be limit numbers. Okay, remember that. Window has to be boundary numbers. That way we're continuous and the x-axis works. Once everything's set up, you can press graph and trace, and it'll get your histogram, okay? And again, I'm kind of assuming that the second stat plot's already turned on for you, okay? I wish you all the best. Let me know if you have questions. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.